Hello everybody and welcome to Module 7, our final module for this course this summer. I'm excited to dive into this final module as it will cover the future of sport media. Way back in the beginning of this course, I asked all of you in your responses online to share with me one thing that you thought the future of sport media would look like. So now we finally come to that portion of this course. So I've broken it down into 3 different categories. There's a lot of different directions that we can go, but I picked out the most significant that I think will have the biggest influence in the future, at least ones that are trending in that direction. So the first thing we're going to do is take a look at how the landscape and the future of sport media is going to be changed. Number one, by broadcast rights. So a lot of the big professional companies have contracts with major sport networks or major television networks. A lot of those contracts and a lot of those deals, we've heard rumors over the last couple of years that they could be changing, and that is true because most of their contracts with these big media companies are coming to an end. The first one that's going to come to an end is the MLB's contract in 2021, so next year. What does that mean? What does that look like? Well, what most people are predicting is that now not just the major television networks will be bidding for those broadcast rights, but new companies that are coming onto the scene. For example, Netflix, Amazon Prime. We've already seen some changes within the YouTube landscape over the years. So the broadcast rights are going to be a big change for the future of sport media. What does that mean? Not just necessarily who is broadcasting all of the games that we like to watch, but how they're broadcast. So the journalists themselves, the people that have to watch the games for their jobs. For example, people that we listen to on the radio. I listen to 97.1 The Ticket on a regular basis. My favorite broadcasters are watching and consuming media every day so that they can turn around and create content that we listen to on the radio. So are they going to have to subscribe to a variety of different platforms now in order to consume the media that then in turn allows them to deliver their style of media? So the change in broadcast rights is going to be a very big thing to pay attention to in the next few years for how all of our sporting events are broadcast to us on a regular basis. The next thing we're going to take a look at is electronic arts. And what I mean by electronic arts are the infamous esports and, of course, the free-to-play games. So what do I mean by those? Electronic sports, one of the most common games that you guys can probably think of is Madden. It's a game that you purchase and you play it online. You can also play FIFA. It's a game that you purchase and you can play it online. Free-to-play games, those are games that you don't have to buy. So an example of that would be Fortnite. You don't have to buy that game in order to play. It's a free game, but it is a moneymaker and it is a revenue generating stream because of the additional options that they give you within that program to buy enhancements to the game. So we're going to talk about electronic arts and how now there are reports out that people are considering electronic arts a sport. There are even scholarships available for these quote-unquote sports. And there are millions of dollars within the electronic arts industry. So we're going to take a look at the electronic arts as a whole. This is part of your discussion question this week, so make sure you pay attention to that particular segment of this module. There is also a couple videos on electronic sports, some really cool things, videos in there for you guys to take a look at that I think if you're not familiar with electronic arts, it will give you a great idea and synopsis of everything that is involved and how we got to where we are today and where we think we're going in the future for electronic arts. The next thing we're going to come to, I would be remiss if I did not include, and that would be the evolution of technology. And we're wrapping that into what I like to call as immersive media. What do I mean by immersive media? Virtual reality and augmented reality. How is that part of our consumer experience when we either observe a sporting event in person or we are watching it on the television? Augmented reality and virtual reality. So the difference between the two, augmented reality, something that you probably interact with on a daily basis and you don't even realize it. Augmented reality is as simple as something as a Snapchat filter or an Instagram filter. If you were somebody that played Pokemon Go, that's an example of augmented reality. So it's enhancing what you're already seeing. Virtual reality is when you completely negate what is around you and it creates an entirely immersive world. So those are the types of experiences that you would see you would need a headset for. An example that I feel like we can all equate to, or at least have a relevant idea about, is Disney World. I'm going to tap on my friends down at Disney because I just spent so much time with them. One of their new rides, Flight of Passage, you enter a room, you put on a set of goggles, and you are in a virtual reality landscape. Everything is moving around you. You are in a completely brand new space. You are not in today's reality. You don't have your cell phone out. You can't move around and see things around you. It's a completely immersive experience. So that's virtual reality versus augmented reality, which is something that you and I probably experience more on a regular basis because we all use social media. So we're going to talk about immersive media, augmented reality, and virtual reality. We're also going to touch on briefly projection mapping. And projection mapping would be a version of augmented reality. If you watched the first time that I can really explain that it came onto the in a significant way, the first time it came onto the sports scene was the Cleveland Cavaliers playoff game a couple years ago, where fans, not only within the arena but who were watching on television, were looking at the court, and it looked like the court was moving. They used some technology that was called projection mapping, and they projected an image down onto the court, and it made it look like the court was moving, it was changing, it had different shapes, it was breaking apart, they were flying in graphics. That's the first time I remember it happening within the sport media industry, but it's all over the industry now. It's all over the place. The Detroit Red Wings, if you go to any of their games, they do that on the ice now as part of their pre-game hype setup. So you can look down on the ice and it looks like the ice is cracking and it's breaking beneath the referees that are out there. The referees are paying no mind to it, but nonetheless, for everybody that's in the crowd, it looks really cool and it's augmented to what it would normally look like as a sheet of ice. There's a lot of other ways that this section of the module talks about immersive media, the way that it's changing, the way that people are being coached in the future. Everybody, not everybody, but a large portion of the sport industry will receive coaching instructions or lessons from somebody not only over the internet, but through completely different experiences through digital technologies. Also the same way that diagnosis is for sport injuries are taking place and going through rehab prevention. Now, that seems a little bit of a stretch from where our course has gone. Our course is on media design, so why are we even bothering talking about coaching methods and training or medicine methods? Well, because when it really comes down to it, there are professionals that know how to coach. There are professionals that will give medical advice, but they are not the professionals in how to create the media that will deliver their message to the consumer. So there's going to be a brand new set of opportunities available to professionals that are experts in new media, creating media, helping the professionals of a particular set deliver their message to the end consumer. So there needs to be somebody in the middle that will develop the platforms that can deliver all this content and then be the people that are continuously putting that content in so it gets to the end user. So that's why I mention it. That's why I bring it up, because while the topic is not necessarily relevant to media, quote unquote, there are still professionals that need to develop and deliver all of that media. So there are a lot of opportunities within those industries as they develop and continue to develop over the next couple years. So as I said, there's a lot of different ways that we can dive into what the future of sport media might look like, but those are the three that I feel like are most relevant and what I feel like you would get the most benefit out of in terms of this course. Other than that, we are at the end of this course. This is the last module. It has been a pleasure to get to know so many of you over the last couple of weeks. I've enjoyed reading all of your assignments, learning about all of you, reading about some of your personal experiences, and hearing about some of your ambitions in the sport industry. If there is anything I can do to be of assistance to you in the future, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm clearly in the Detroit area. I am down on Wayne State's campus all the time. I'm available via email. If you ever want to meet or if there's anything I can do for you, do not hesitate to reach out. I am happy to do that for you. There are a few extra things that we're still trying to wrap up, some discussions that some of you haven't participated in. So if you haven't gotten a message from me, keep an eye on your email if you did miss something. But other than that, this module is due on Friday the 16th. That is the end of our course. If you have any questions about anything this week or need clarification, don't hesitate to reach out. But other than that, it has been a pleasure to get to know you and have you in class this semester. I look forward to potentially having some of you in the future. And if you are graduating, because I know we have a few graduates, best of luck to you in the future. Thanks, everybody.